Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you see this. This is Dee with Older INFP Insights. And today I'm going to have a topic about, another one about INFJs and INFPs. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to title this, but, and I may be poking the bear again, but something that came to me because I've been thinking about it for a long time and thinking maybe INFPs and INFJs to each other, when the strips of the onions or layers of the onions get down, we a lot of times don't get along because we're the catalyst for each other. Some circles, the New Age circles, they say twin flames. Not sure now how I feel about that concept. I used to believe in that concept. I'm not really sure. But that's basically where, just basically we bring out in each other what we need to heal. So whether what perspective you're coming from, whether it's from the terminology that's out there now, was twin flame, soulmate, catalyst, karmic, whatever word. I don't like to use all these words, but I think that we and where there's a lot of rubbing the wrong way sometimes, the more we get to know each other, is that we do bring out in each other what we need to heal. And that would be easy for us to do. I've read a lot about this, about compatibilities, because it seems like the handful of INFJs I've run across, which have been only in the last few years, according to what I know, as far as I know, they I've been door slammed after we really get to know each other. And we get along really well in the beginning, and it's super really well in the beginning, but then it just really falls apart, and I get door slammed. I can get that door to open, but usually, except for one person, I just let it stay shut. So I want to say that's what I'm going to talk about today. Everybody is welcome. We'll say I enjoyed the comments. Comments, please be respectful. If it's not your thing, if you're triggered, and you may get triggered, just hold off a day or two before commenting. Respond and not react, or just click off. One or the other is fine with me. But this is just, didn't come out of any books. It's just from my experience and some things I've been thinking about. What is it about the INFP-INFJ connection? And it can be any kind of connection. Any kind. Friends, family, person down the street, co-worker, somebody you're dating. Any kind of connection. What is it? That we rub each other the wrong way if we go into the deep dive. I have heard people say, online and elsewhere, that INFJ and INFP are compatible because there's only one letter difference in our cognitive stack. We are both introverts, we're both intuitives, we're both feelers. Where the only difference is in the judging and the perceiving. Well, that one makes that we have no cognitive. I know that. So I will say too, I get comments all the time and then deleted, explaining to me, trying to educate me about cognitive stacks and whatnot. I do understand all that. This is not what the channel's about. Today I will go into it a little bit, and that's it. But the INFJ and the INFP, even though we only have one letter difference, that one letter means we have no commonality in the cognitive stacks. As far as extroversion and our introversion, I will call it the E and I call it outside and inside. So I'm not going to go all into that. There are tons and tons of other YouTube creators that will do that for you and have their little graphs. But I'm not going to do that. Just to say that we have nothing in common for our cognitive stacks, which is very good for being a catalyst, for being somebody who triggers and be the motivator for us to grow, and for us, and I mean us as in the INFJ and the INFP, to grow and into the person, the potential that we were meant to be. Now, I know we read about commonalities and see about commonalities about we're both intuitive. The INFJ is internally intuitive within themselves. It's more of an internal thing. It's more of a compact thing of intuition, whereas the INFP is outwardly. We into what I like to call into the environment. We take everything in. We are both deep thinkers, deep feelers, but ours goes deeper. And I say the INFPs goes deeper, which I think triggers the INFJ. INFJ tends to be more myopic. They get to one thing that they love and their passion, and they go for it very deeply. I want to say it's kind of like planting a carrot or a pine tree. I don't know how much you know about pine trees. They have shallow roots. But a carrot, you see how a carrot grows down, is just narrow and grows down long. That is more of what an INFJ thinks. Whatever they're into, they want to know everything about that one thing. I do know one that just wants to know everything about medicine. Went to medical school at a later age. Now that she's older, she's told me that's all she wants to do. That's all she wants to hang out with, people who are in the medical field. It's all just medicine. Doesn't want to learn anything else. Other people in the world have, and she's not satisfied with her life. So other people in the world have kind of given her ideas of things to do for hobbies and whatnot, but she's not interested. Whereas the INFP, we go deep, but we go deep and spread out. We're more like maybe an oak tree or something like that. That our roots just spread out. Or I think about it in a vegetable thing like a potato. I'll tell you, like a watermelon. If anybody's ever planted a watermelon seed, I did that one time. I never got a watermelon out of it, but that vine took up my whole backyard. So, yeah, an INFJ is more like a carrot. They go down deep. They think about one thing real deeply. And INFP is more like a watermelon vine. It just takes over the whole thing. We go and want to know everything about everything, but not as deep. But our feelings are a lot deeper. And I hope this makes sense. If you're an INFJ or an INFP, it probably will make sense. If you're not, I'm not sure it will. But how does this work out? And another big difference is that we're both people pleasers, but an INFJ likes external harmony. They fit in, they're chameleons. They fit in with the world that they're around because they want people to be harmonious. They want the environment to be in harmony. And they'll do what they can, their share and more, to make that harmony come about. An INFP loves harmony too, but it's internal. That's where your FI comes into. It's internal. We value authenticity, honesty, authenticity, to a fault sometimes. That's our main thing, and our core values. Now, the INFP and the INFJ a lot of times have the same core values, but we go about it in that different way. Whereas, like I said, the INFJ does the external, the INFP does according to how it makes them feel, and the external world will be damned. A lot of times, quite frankly, I'm speaking for myself. So how does this apply to that connection? How can we see? And I also will say that the INFP tends to see the world in gray. different shades of gray. We look at possibilities. INFP is more of a right, wrong, black, white thinker. Because they don't think in all possibilities, they go for what they've decided through their logic is the right path, and they go for it 100%. INFPs get derailed. We take the road less traveled. We take the road nobody's been on. We get lost. We turn around. Our brain looks like a brain on crack, like, I think there's a whole lot of, I'll get into this a little bit more, a whole lot of ADHD in INFPs. I personally don't believe it's a lot of ADHD, but that same type of activity, brain activity. We can multitask a whole lot better, I think, than INFPs. INFPs want to do their one thing. So that's how I kind of got sidetracked off of this one friend who wants to just do medical, even though I'm mental health, and that person was in mental health too, but medical also just wants to do medical. She's got somebody, a roommate now, medical, friends, medical, that's all she wants to do. Doesn't want to learn anything new. She's having a hard time in her retirement doing that too, I just will say. So getting back to how we can help each other, this is the topic. This is the background of the similarities and differences. We're similar, but we're 100% different. But we're 100% similar, so we're the glass is full on both sides, if you look at it that way. So how can we help each other, and what happens when we first meet each other? We're like, oh yeah, you understand me, you get me, got the same quirkiness, we got the same, from the surface level, it is the same, it does seem the same. But the more you get to know, and the deeper you dive, and I will say, because I hear it all the time, that I think just because INFJs are out there more, they're the most social, supposedly, the most social of the introverts. And I think the INFP are probably the more introverted of the less social. We are the most able to live alone and be alone. We have the most active fantasy worlds in our brain. Most folks don't know that because we don't tell people that. INFJs will do that, and particularly online and in social media, they will be glad to comment and tell you what they think. So we get along on the surface level. But when we start peeling back the layers, and I say layers of the onions, and we start to really deep dive, I've gotten to the point now when people want to deep dive and pick my brain about something, I will ask them if they really want to dive deep and warn them. I don't know why I feel like I need to. It doesn't help. But I say, I'm a really deep diver. I'm a really, 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 really deep diver. You sure you want to go there? And they're like, yeah, that's okay. But our deep diving in INFP is a lot deeper. And sometimes that runs off people, and that would include the INFJ. INFJs get triggered, INFPs get triggered with each other. If you get to that point of peeling off the layers. That's how we can help each other. Now, how I have learned to be helped by one particular INFJ, and I think how I have triggered her, and we're no longer speaking. I'm hoping that I helped her. She won't talk about it. She's clammed up. I overshare. We say that INFPs don't share. We don't share our feelings. We don't share our thoughts. Nobody knows who we are. That's on the surface layer, but once that trust is and you start to deep dive, that's when they open up, the INFPs. And it tends to come across as oversharing and a bit much, I will say. And honest. And authentic and honest. That is something that an INFJ is not used to. They're used to making people happy in the environment. They are used to more superficial interactions that they can control and maneuver and manipulate. And I don't mean to say manipulation necessarily in a bad manner, but they can manipulate the world to be comfortable for them. INFPs can just shoot that all out of the water. I have learned, I would just say this first, I have learned from an INFJ not to react. I let my feelings get the best of me. When that line has been crossed, we're very laid back, but when that line has been crossed, we door slam. And I have door slammed. Learn to respond and not react. I've learned, to be more patient, I think, in some ways. INFPs are laid back, but laid back and patience are two different things. I don't think we are that patient. We just go off and want to do something else because we are interested in a lot of different things. To stick to the course a little bit better. It's okay to change your mind and change your direction, but not, just kind of try to stay the course. Try to hear people out. Try to stay when things get uncomfortable. Don't personalize. That's one thing. Don't personalize everything. Everything's personal because of the FI, because of our feelings. We feel deeper than anything else. So there's some ways, that you can grow as an INFP being around an INFJ. And the reverse would be and this is why I think they run away from me, because I can be honest and I can be brutally honest. I've been called cruel, crazy. That's by that one that's not speaking to me right now. I wasn't cruel. I was just telling her the truth. I was telling her how I could put pieces together. That's another thing, too, with our intuition. The INFJs I have seen and met take pride in understanding people and being able to get into people. And they do. They can scan the room and they can understand people. And they know what's going on around the room. And because of that harmony, that desire to harmonize their environment, so they feel better. We have to feel better in ourselves, the INFPs, and then the world comes second. With INFJs, it's the opposite. The world comes first. They don't look inside themselves that much. It's the world that has to be pleased and harmonized for them to feel good. So, so they're not used to, they're used to being in control. They're not used to people knowing them. The one that I'm talking about, she used to pride herself into saying that nobody could get into her energy, her aura. And she always did some meditation in the beginning of the day so nobody could get into that. I got into it pretty easily. I didn't let her know that until after we knew each other for several years, and then something just came up. I had told her, I had put together things that she had been doing, not telling me. That was what the whole disagreement was about, was being dishonest, and that's one thing I don't put up with. And she just was very taken aback by it all. It's like the meme on Facebook that I like that says, people like that you see, that you are a seer until you see them. So she was very interested in it, something that both of us have, I won't get into it too much, but both of us do have healing powers, spiritual healing powers. I don't use mine too much anymore. I'm trying to heal myself and not the world, but don't want energy. It's all energy. So I could get into her energy, and I did get into it, and I let her know it to a point when we had a disagreement, and she was very taken aback by that, didn't like that. Didn't know, I don't think she's ever met an INFP, so she didn't have control of the environment. So it just discombobulated herself, discombobulated me because she upset me personally. So I I think that's how we can help INFJs, is that to know that, not assume that you're brighter than everybody else because you have this very big intuition. There are other people out there who do too, which will be an INFP, and you're not going to fool an INFP. Not for long. You're not going to fool an INFP. You may think you are, so it's best to just be honest. Learn to be honest. Learn to be truthful. Learn to be authentic. And I don't mean honest in the sense of just telling lies about everything. That can be true in unhealthy people, but INFJs can learn from INFPs how to be authentic. And that is very scary for an INFJ, to be inwardly, to go inward. And they say, oh, I go inward all the time. Dive deep inward instead of diving deep outward. So that's one way. And another way would be to look at all possibilities. Look at more than one or two possibilities when you logically make up your mind. If something else comes in the mix or somebody suggests something else, don't be so headstrong. That's for the INFJ. Don't be so headstrong and determined that you're not going to veer from a course. You know, it's like I just thought about this. It's like on your GPS on a car. Your GPS tells you to go down a highway. Here's the difference in INFP and INFJ. GPS tells you to go down the highway. This is the shortest distance between point A and B. You get halfway there. There's a roadblock. There's a flood in the road. So the INFP will say, well, I need to go on this second road. Even though the GPS is telling me to go straight, I'm going to go down this side road because there's another possibility and there's some water in the road and I don't want to go across the water. INFJ more likely would say, okay, this is my path that I'm taking. I made the decision to go this way. This is the way I'm going. I'm going this way. So they go through and they may make it. Sometimes they make it through that water. That'll be fine. Other times they get flooded out and they're stuck. So I hope this is kind of making sense. I know I'm wandering, trying to get the point to that we can, the basic point is we can be, I think we're probably catalyst for each other. We mirror each other. I know we mirror each other, but we could be the catalyst for each other for growth. To listen to each other, to really listen and not just argue or not just door slam. We both door slam. I've door slammed people. I usually just tend to, the person I figured who triggers me the most, except for one other person, tend to be the INFJs. I tend to trigger them a whole lot. And I couldn't figure out, why do they hate me so much, or why do I hate? It's not hate's not the right word, but because everywhere I read and see, we're supposed to be very compatible. We're compatible on the surface level, but when we take the deep, deep dives and go way into it and bond, that's the word I don't think INFJs really like, bonding. They like to keep things, as I said, the environment cool and open and harmonizing. Keep it more surface level than to go inside. And because they don't lead with their feelings. We lead with our feelings. They don't. So this is getting longer than long. I hope some of it made sense. I'd like to hear your comments. If it doesn't make sense, you've clicked off a long time ago. I'd like to hear your comments to see what you think about it. That we're just diving a little bit deeper, and I'm trying to conceptualize it myself. That's another INFP thing. We get things in our mind and we know what we know what we mean in our brain, but it just gets kind of fuzzied and mixed and mingled when it comes out of our mouths, and or put it in writing. If I get it down to a science at some point in time, I'll put it in writing and then I'll read it to you. But that's just what I thought, that we can learn from each other and not to run, not to dismiss, And I think this is where all the hateful, inappropriate, I take the word hate. I don't like the word hate. The inappropriate discussions come online. Why, I will tell you, if you're an INFP and you're on a thread somewhere online, and INFJs will jump on you like flies on a cow pod, I don't think it's because INFPs are typically bullied and scapegoated. I don't think that's the reason. I think the reason is we are triggering the INFJ, something in them that they need to heal. And the opposite's true too. I just think we keep it within ourselves. So we all get together, all think about this. We can learn from each other. We can heal with each other. We have to heal alone, but we can heal from listening to what they have to say. So that's all I have to say. Everybody, like, share, subscribe. And until next time, stay safe.